Hey Blenders, it's Sean O'Connell, the managing editor here at CinemaBlend, and we have a bonus episode for you guys this week because there's so many amazing guests coming down the pipe in terms of films coming to theaters and streaming, and also getting heavy into the awards race, which brings us to this week's segment. We were able to sit down with Delroy Lindo, who is coming back around to talk about his work in Spike Lee's Da 5 Bloods, and naturally we jumped at the opportunity to get some time with this amazing actor. He's heavy into the best actor race right now, just getting the chance to sort of go deeper into his performance as Paul in that film, talk a little bit about where Paul might be now politically, dive deeper into his collaborations with Spike, and just talk about the impact that the movie has had both on the cast and veterans who are dealing with PTSD. I think you guys are going to find this is a really great conversation. So, without further ado, a bonus episode of ReelBlend, a bonus interview with ReelBlend anyway. We have Delroy Lindo on the show speaking about Spike Lee and Da 5 Bloods.
Oh, Sean.
Wait, Dolly, we're poster friends, man. You have that one. Oh,
I have that one too. I just didn't hang it up. I've got that one. And guess what? Mine is signed by Spike Lee. So now.
So is mine, Delroy. Take a look right there, Spike Lee.
Hold up. Spike told me I was the only one, man. He told me I was
the biggest difference between you and me, Delroy, is that I paid $100 for that, and you didn't pay anything for it.
No, I did not. Look, Netflix, get Spike on the line. I got to get to the bottom of this. What the fuck?
I loved all the posters for the movies. And on a serious note, yeah, they were really cool. All right, Sean, you go ahead and start off, buddy.
All right, I will kick us off. Mr. Lindo, I am very curious if Paul is a character who's been on your mind lately because of the way the news cycle has played out. Is he someone that, have you thought about at all what he might have thought about the past few weeks?
Good question. Very good question. That's a great question, actually. And I have to say the answer is Paul has not been on my mind vis-a-vis the events of the last few weeks. And I think the reason for that is because Paul's not about the last few weeks. Paul would not have been in that crowd. He absolutely mob. Paul would not have been there, man. And I also think that Paul would have come to his senses in terms of understanding that all the things that were promised and all the ways in which I was told my life would improve didn't happen. Sight.
Right.
And anybody who, my belief in what I was told in Paul's belief, my belief in what I was being told in 2015. Are you guys still there? Because I'm getting something. Okay.
Yep,
my belief in what I was being told in 2015 that caused me to cast that vote in 2016. None of those things happened.
Right.
So I don't think Paul would have been there, man.
It's interesting. Thank you for following up. I was curious.
Yeah. You know, we were looking over Spike Lee's career, and obviously one of the most incredible shots that he has in all of his films is a double dolly. And in this particular film, I think Clark Peters actually gets the double dolly where he's floating along, which is incredible. And you go back and look at all the different ones he had in Malcolm X with Denzel going down the sidewalk. And I just wonder, like, how that decision is made. Like, and have you ever gone up to Spike and said, "Hey, Spike, I would love to do a double dolly"? I mean, have you ever had the chance to do one?
No, I've never had the chance to do one. I've never gone to Spike and said, "Can I do a double dolly?" because I know that if Spike felt it was appropriate for my character, a character I was playing, to do a double dolly, he would do it. So no. How's that?
We couldn't talk about this scene when we had you around for the normal press junket for the movie because it was spoilery and we couldn't dive into details for it. But I have to get your insight into filming the Landmine Scene with Jonathan Majors, which is one of the most challenging and emotionally both devastating and cathartic scenes. Was it a difficult film to see? Did you have to do it over a long period of time? Was it something where you were able to get pretty quickly? How did it go down?
There are a lot of people don't talk about that scene very much. Interestingly, my nephew talked about that scene when the film first came out. My nephew and I don't think he said it to me. I think he said it to my wife, and he talked about what that scene meant to him. So the answer to your question is, we worked on the scene for a few hours. It wasn't a scene that we had to do quickly. We did it in its own time. It actually is a really beautiful scene.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll say this to you. Recalling that scene, one of the memories that I have recalling that scene was that I lost control in that scene. And what I mean is, when Jonathan, my son, David, comes to me, and I grab him,
Yes.
and I screamed right into Jonathan Major's ear. And I felt so badly because I'd lost control. I could have, his eardrum, and he was very gracious. He was really gracious. But I felt like shit for about 15 minutes because I had lost control. And you don't lose control as an actor. You do not.
Right.
And but he was really gracious, and he got me back. He did something else later, and he got me back. So we're even now. We're good. But
but isn't it important that the emotion of the scene gets you though? Didn't it mean that you were overwhelmed by the emotion of the scene?
It's sometimes challenging going back to talk about work, particularly in the case of work that's been particularly powerful or has landed on audiences in a certain kind of, had an impact on audiences. And what makes it difficult for me is, I think, is that on many levels, I want the work to speak for itself. I don't want to deconstruct it because I don't want to run the risk of demystifying it in a way that I don't want to demystify it. I want it to just speak. But the answer to your question is, we worked, Spike allowed, as he does, the work to unfold in its own time. And the one take where I screamed into Jonathan's ear, I felt so badly that the next couple of takes, I made an adjustment so that I wasn't screaming right into his ear. And Jonathan and all of us in the scene, my mistake, my misstep didn't deter from all of us doing the work. And so in the final analysis, I don't know, it became stronger, if anything. It became that much stronger and hopefully that much more powerful for the audience.
That scene stuck with me.
Good. And lastly, I would say that it's a moment. Yeah, it's a moment that it's clear the love that I have for my son. And that was important because, there are various other aspects of our relationship that are fractious. And I would say, if you don't believe, anybody who doesn't believe that as confused and it is as emotionally as I am, whatever that means, I love my son.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Delroy, I have to tell you that I've never seen a film that has given me the understanding of PTSD more than this film. And I say that because of the idea of Spike using your normal aged characters in the flashbacks as their older selves beautifully, because what it does is it helps you understand that they're reliving those memories
Right.
in their older age.
That's right.
And I wanted to ask you, have you heard anything from veterans that have watched this film? Because for me, I'm not a veteran, but I feel like I have such a better understanding of what someone might go through after coming back because of the way Spike portrays it in the film. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that and what you've heard from people.
It's one of the strengths of the film. It's a testament to Spike's genius. It's a testament to his ability as a filmmaker to make lemons out of lemonade. Wait, to make lemonade out of lemons. Lemonade out of lemons. Because you should talk to Spike about this, but I think the prospect of using the de-aging that Martin Scorsese used in his last film was never on the table for budgetary reasons. So what Spike did was embraced it, and it works brilliantly for the film. And honestly, I didn't really think about this until journalists started asking me about it. All I can tell you is, when I read the script, it made sense. It didn't not make sense. And it made a whole bunch of sense. It made a lot of sense when we were filming those scenes. And when I say it made sense, it's not that one was saying that to oneself, but what one was not saying was, this doesn't make sense. One was not saying that. It was completely organic to what we were doing. And now taking a half a step back and understanding that, part of the reason that it's resonating for audiences such as yourself is because exactly we are reliving as our present day selves our memories of Norm and our memories of our time in Vietnam. And it presents to the audience that dynamic so much more powerfully by virtue of the fact that the audience sees us as our present day selves going back into our pasts. And I'll say this, that is that. You're saying what you said about your understanding of PTSD is what every actor wants. It's what every actor on the planet wants. We want our audiences to have a greater understanding about something as a result of seeing our work and participating in the work. And so you as audience, you give me that, you give us that. And I've also heard from various vets about their appreciation for the work that we've done.
Fantastic.
So it is fantastic. It's extraordinary.
Mr. Lindo,
go ahead, John.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to briefly ask you real fast when you about breaking the fourth wall and speaking to the camera real fast, just that scene, because that was the question I was actually going to ask you there, but I really wanted to get your perspective on the PTSD thing. But just briefly, do you mind just speaking on the idea of breaking the fourth wall as an actor, talking into the camera? That monologue is so incredible, and I just wonder, like, as an actor, what that's like. Is it weird to talk right into the camera like that as a character?
It wasn't weird because Spike had told me a few weeks prior to shooting the film, shooting that scene, that I would be talking directly to the camera. So it was not a surprise. It was something that I took on. When I say I took it on, I knew, just as I'm looking at this green dot on my computer right now to look at you all, I knew that it was a technical component of what the work would require. He told me, and it was terrific from the standpoint that we all ended up, myself, the camera operator, Spike, we all, the ADs, we all ended up dancing together in that scene. And what I mean by that is that when my first take of that scene, I came through the underbrush and I stopped. And Spike said, "No, man, don't stop. I need you to keep, when you come through, keep walking." So now I am now dancing with the camera operator, right? Because he's walking backwards, filming me. Now, again, I'm not deconstructing it like this in my head in the moment. I'm deconstructing it like this for purposes of speaking to the journalists, right? But it's interesting. So now Spike says, "Don't stop." Okay, so I won't stop. So I've already committed the words to memory. I've worked on the word, the physical words that I have to say. I've prepared that before I start the scene, because I don't want to be fumbling for the words. I want to be able to say those words in my sleep. So I've done that part of it. I've then made certain decisions about what those words mean to me and why. I'm now about the business of infusing those words emotionally, and I've done that work. When I say I've done that work, I've put the building blocks in place so that I can explore those things in the scene. Now we start doing the scene. Spike says, "Don't stop." I don't stop. Now I'm dancing with the camera person, because the camera operator, Ari, because he's walking backwards and he's got the crew holding him so he doesn't fall. And so the two of us are dancing together. Spike then is observing what I'm doing, and I overhear him say, after maybe 3 or 4 takes, I overhear him say, "Leave him alone, he's in the zone." That tells me I'm serving the story. I'm doing what he needs me to do. That gives me an added sense of confidence. And I'm now, because we're on the 4th and 5th take, I'm now starting to feel comfortable, and I can really explore this work emotionally. And I'm dancing with the camera people and the crew. Now we get to a point where I am stopping a couple times, because I'm taking the machete and I'm cutting down. I'm hitting I'm slicing through the undergrowth. Ari knows that I'm doing that, so now he stops. He knows where I'm going to stop. So we're all dancing together, man. And as I become more and more comfortable, and the scene becomes richer and richer, and Spike is allowing multiple takes, and I know he's happy. I have a sense he's happy. And now I start improvising a couple of small things, and he's embracing that. It's why I went to acting school.
Wow.
This is the shit right here. This is the shit. And it's not in the moment I'm saying, "Oh, this is the shit." I'm saying that now, you know.
Yeah.
It's just affirmation on top of affirmation on top of affirmation on top of affirmation, and professional workers working together and working together and working together and working together. And there was one thing, lastly, I'll say this. One of the crew members, they don't talk a lot. They don't say a lot. They do their jobs. And one of the crew members said something to me. It was one of the cats. It's one of the cats who was, I don't know what his job is, but he just kind of said something to me in passing that was special. They don't talk. The crew, they don't. And he said something to me. It was real. All of that collectively, he said something to me about that scene. All of that collectively leads me to believe it's working. It's working.
Right. That's fantastic.
That's all you want.
Wow. That's all you want. Yeah.
That's all you want.
Well, we're out of time. We really appreciate all the time you gave us, Mr. Lindo.
God bless. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
You guys take care. All the best. Thank you.
Naturally, we have to thank Netflix for giving us time with Delroy. It was fantastic to have him as a guest on the show. I loved the way that the interview got off on a really light foot with he and Kevin going back and forth about their signed Spike Lee posters. It set the tone for the interview and the conversation we were going to have. But I also thought it was really great the way that he truly seemed to, pause on each of the questions, process the question we were giving him, come back with a really deep, insightful, heartfelt answer. You could tell that this is an important project for him. So any chance that we get an opportunity to go for an extended length of time with a tremendous performer like that, who has such a rich history with Spike, and really, burrow into a riveting performance in a fantastic film. It's so valuable to us, and I hope that's why you guys continue to tune into the show. Make sure that you keep following ReelBlend on social media and staying up to date with the podcast. If you're on YouTube, go down and hit subscribe, turn on your notifications. That way when we post a new video like this, you guys will be the first ones to hear about it. And in the meantime, we'll be back next week with a full episode, with a premium episode for our premium subscribers, and more interviews just like this one here on the ReelBlend podcast.